The Phillies rally from down 6 runs for the win of the year in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you why it's their best victory of the season so far on today's episode.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Just came back from a visit up to Fenway Park to watch the Phils play the Red Sox in person up in Beantown. I'm going to tell you why Fenway has to be on your bucket list as a baseball fan. I'm also going to talk to you about what the Phillies can do with Aaron Nola after another rough start for him. Spoiler alert, they don't have a lot of options. But first, we're talking about a monster comeback victory to start off this series in Pittsburgh. The Phils down 6-0 in this game at one point after a really rough start by Aaron Nola. We'll save the conversation on him for when we talk about, well, what in the world the Phillies can do. But they battle all the way back to forced extra innings, score 3 runs in the top of the 10th, and they find a way for a dramatic, awesome, just high-level theater baseball winning. And it's their best win of the year for so many reasons. Obviously, the number one point of contention for why this is the win of the year so far for the Phillies is the deficit that they erased. For the better part of that game, you know, I had just gotten back from the road. I'm sitting on the couch watching the game, and I'm like, okay, well, this is one of those of 162, and it happens to every baseball team, the best, the worst. You're going to just have those games where it's like, all right, not their night. They're getting cooked right now. They got a bad start out of Nola. They're behind the 8 ball. They just got a series win in Boston, traveling in, weird stuff with the rain going on for that final game. So I'm sure travel wasn't easy for them getting out to Pittsburgh and whatever. It happened. So you're kind of half watching, right? Like, all right, we're watching because we have to, because we love this team, but they're not coming back. And then all of a sudden, the Kyle Schwarber show starts and he goes out. And he continues to slug the baseball. And if you don't think that this comeback started with Kyle Schwarber's ability to hit the ball out of the yard, you're missing what's been powering this Phillies team. He's on an insane stretch right now. We're going to talk mainly in the vein of this game specifically and try and keep it to what happened in Pittsburgh last night as the Phillies just battled their rears off to find a win. But the biggest story surrounding this team right now is what Kyle Schwarber is doing at the plate. He goes yard twice last night, and he is at the pace that very few Phillies have ever been. Like, very few players in baseball have ever been. Over the last, 8 or 9 games, he's in double-digit home runs. That does not happen unless you're one of the premier power hitters in the sport at that time, or Don Brown, or like rookie Rhys Hoskins. And these are the stories that like capture not just Phillies fans, but should capture the entire fan base of the sport of baseball. 3-hit night, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Everything he's hitting right now feels like it's leaving the yard. And every at bat from Kyle Schwarber feels like must-watch TV. Last year, we were comparing what he was doing in the late season with his home run record push for the Phillies franchise to, of course, Ryan Howard, where it was just like every time Ryan Howard would come up back in the mid to late 2000s, the mid to late aughts, as people call it, it was stop what you're doing. If you're cooking dinner, quit it. If the water boils over on the pasta, let it go. Like if you're cleaning, you can still clean after. Whatever you're doing, Ryan Howard is at the plate. Nobody gets up and uses the restroom. Nobody gets an extra refreshment. You're watching that at bat. And that's what we compared Schwarber to last year. Well, this stretch, what do we compare Schwarber to what he did just a couple of months ago to round out the 2025 season? We're starting to reach the point where we need to have a serious conversation about the ability of Kyle Schwarber to hit the ball out of the yard with the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, we're talking best power hitter in baseball type of stuff. I know people will say Shohei Ohtani, and that's a strong argument. Aaron Judge, strong argument. There are other great power hitters in the game. What Cal Raleigh did last year out in Seattle, even though he's had a rough year, was insane. And Kyle Schwarber led the National League in home runs last year. He is on pace to lead it this year. He is on pace to set the Phillies single-season home run record. He is potentially on pace for the major league record, which that's a crazy thing to even talk about with Barry Bonds' mark potentially coming into play for Kyle Schwarber, especially considering we're in mid-May. There is a long, long way to go in the season, but that is what he is pacing towards at this point. And he's a guy that when he goes yard, you could tell it just really it wakes up the dugout. Like they feel it. He is the motor that makes this offense run. Now, he wasn't the only one that had a big night for the Phillies in the comeback. Bryce Harper was huge. Now, he had the near grand slam, which turned out to be a 2 RBI double to end up tying up the game in the 9th inning. It was a huge swing by him, but he went 4 for 5, 2 RBIs, just all over the baseball now. He's up to batting .282, and he's having what by his career standards is just a regular run-of-the-mill Bryce Harper year. But remember, Dave Dombrowski said the not elite stuff. It wasn't, I don't think he's an elite baseball player. It's, I don't know if he can still be elite, right? I don't know if he could be the Bryce Harper we've seen. He's right on par with being the Bryce Harper that we have seen. He is. Look at his career numbers compared to what he's doing now, and they're near mirror images when you look at the average stats. Obviously, the compilation ones like home runs and RBIs and doubles and stuff like that, you'll only be able to tell as we get deeper into the season. But as far as batting average and on-base percentage and slugging and everything he's pacing out to, he's right on par for what a regular season in a Hall of Fame career has been. So those two guys are clearly leading the way for the Philadelphia Phillies offensively. And then you got to give a lot of credit to guys like Brandon Marsh and Rafael Marchan and Justin Crawford, who all had hits late in that game or in the extra inning frame of that game. I mean, you don't make that comeback and win a game 11-9 if you don't have contributions from guys up and down the lineup. So it was a good balanced attack from the Philadelphia Phillies. Only 3 players did not have a hit in the game. That would be Edmundo Sosa, Garrett Stubbs, and Adolis Garcia. And Stubbs was hit by a pitch twice, so wasn't getting the same opportunity. Garcia pinch hit, and Sosa just had a rough night, 2 strikeouts. But everybody else was in the hit column for the Phils. They tallied 14 hits, and for 11 runs on 14 hits, you know what that tells you is they're taking advantage of every opportunity that they got on the base paths, at least late in that game. It was a very improbable comeback, and another big part of that is the Phillies bullpen. They got great work out of their bullpen, besides Tim Mayza giving up a home run in relief of Aaron Nola. And it's always tough to come into a game in like the 4th or 5th inning as a reliever because, well, one, that means your starter probably got shelled, which means the Pittsburgh offense is probably feeling pretty darn good. And don't just look at it as like, oh, well, it's the Pirates. Pirates have had a pretty nice start to their season. That's a solid baseball team over there. This is not just the, hey, we're going to win 50 or 60 games Pirates and our owners won't spend money. Like, no, they've been playing good baseball. So to go out there against a team that's already scored 6 on you, and then Mayza gives up 1, and it's like, okay, well, they got 7 runs already, and we haven't been able to do much at the plate. It would be easy for the bullpen to just kind of go out there and get their work in, and hey, if I give one up, I give one up, whatever. Jonathan Bolin, Chase Sugar, Jose Alvarado, Orion Kerkering, nails. All scoreless appearances for the Phillies. Sugar, 2 scoreless innings to allow the Phillies to set up for the comeback, and then you get the high leverage work from Alvarado and Kerkering. It's really nice to see. Orion Kerkering's got a 2.2 ERA this year, and coming off of what he had to deal with the way last season ended, anything like serviceable for this team would have been really cool to see. He's been better than serviceable. He looks like a high leverage arm. And it looks like almost the issue of last year and dealing with that has made him a little bit mentally stronger. I don't want to overstate because, like, playoffs against the Dodgers is not playing the Pirates in May. But what you've seen from him this year in spots where he's inheriting runners and getting put into what they call dirty innings, which is runners on base where you're trying to work out of a jam, he's been better than what we saw from him last year. And that's a huge step in the right direction. You got to remember, still a young kid. Still learning. So it looks like he's heading in the right direction. And we've got to have maybe not conversation time yet, right? So you know how weather goes? Like, let's say if there's a tornado, there's tornado watch, which means a tornado could happen. tornado warning, which is like a tornado has been spotted in the area. And then the next step, which we'll use for baseball, is we got to have the conversation. Right now, we are on Jose Alvarado back watch. Is he back? I do not know. Has he looked good the past couple of times out? Yes, he has. And he had a rough start to the year. And you're going to need somebody to step up from the left side in the bullpen. Duran is going to get the ninth or close opportunities. Orion, Kerkering, Brad Keller, both righties. Tanner Banks hasn't had a great year. Tim Meza has been a surprise, but they use him as more of like that middle inning relief spot. Jose Alvarado is your high leverage lefty, and the stuff is still there and the velo is still there. But seeing him have a couple of really big outings in high pressure spots, both in Boston and now in game one in Pittsburgh, like we're not Alvarado's back warning. We're not having the conversation, but just keep a little eye on the hefty lefty next time he comes out and see if he can continue to build on these good appearances. Because if you get him back at his best and you add that to Duran and Keller and this version of Orion Kerkering, well, the Phils need to get to the 7th or 8th inning and it might be ball game. And we saw that a couple of times in Boston. So I love what I'm seeing from them. That is the win of the year for so many reasons. So far, hey, we'll see what they do the rest of the way because there's a lot more baseball still to play. But they win a series in Boston. And now you have Wheels and Sanchez going to, or I think it's Sanchez and Wheels in that direction. But those two guys throw. You only need to win one in Pittsburgh of those starts in order to get another series win. They may just never lose a series under Don Mattingly. And if that's the case, it's going to be a pretty fun rest of the baseball season. But there is a problem that arose from last night's game. And it's existed for a while now. And I don't know that I have a good answer to this. I don't know that anybody has a good answer to this. What in the world do you do with Aaron Nola if this keeps going on? We'll talk about the options the Phillies do have and what they don't have as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. Let's talk about FanDuel first, though, because the NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel's got a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. The playoffs are rounded down. You're going to be down shortly to the final 4 teams. And there are clearly 2 favorites who are sitting there waiting for the conference finals to begin. And that's OKC and New York. And they are both dominant. So if you want something safe, hey, maybe look at them rested up for game 1s of those series when we get there. Maybe take them on the money line. Don't even worry about the spread because all you have to do is bet those $5 and you get the $150 in bonus bets. So just win something easy and take that. And then you can bet more on player props and futures and all of that great stuff that FanDuel has available. It has all the stats for you to use. So go ahead and check it out and head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Let's also talk about Rocket Money because if you've ever opened your bank account and thought, oh, where in the world did all my money go? I feel like it happens to me like once or twice a week. You're not alone. That's a normal thing, but it shouldn't be. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills, it can get overwhelming fast, and that's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place, all on one platform. It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It also automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money's going so you know what you're spending your money on. If you need to cut back here, if you're like, oh, I could spend a little more there, it helps you with all of that. And you can set specific budgets, you can get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It makes everything easier when it comes to your finances. And that's because Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. So what are you waiting for? Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. It is a great time to join in on the Everydayer Club. The Phillies are red hot. There's so much fun going on with this team. And if you want to take your listenership, your fandom to the next level, don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club. You're going to get ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with myself and other listeners of Locked On Phillies. So tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonphillies.supercast.com. This is a little bit tricky here with the Aaron Nola situation. I do not know what options the Philadelphia Phillies have when it comes to Nola. I mean, just looking at his season, there's no other way to say it. He hasn't been good, like remotely good enough. He's got a 5.91 ERA, a 2-3 record, a 1.55 WHIP, and he just has not looked like a guy that is going to do anything to help this team all that much in the rotation. Now, he did still have like a couple of starts when you look at the early part of his season where it's like, okay, he looked better than he did last year. Last year, he was completely unusable. This year, it's like every third start, you're going to get like a quality start out of Aaron Nola, but that's not good enough. If you're losing 2 out of 3 starts from a guy, if it was somebody not named Aaron Nola, like if that was just your run-of-the-mill starter, you would say, yeah, we're kind of done with this right now. We're going to send you down, or we're going to skip one of your starts, or do something with the way we're handling our rotation because you're not getting the job done. And last night was another example. 3 2/3 innings, gives up 6 earns. Paul's leaving the yard. He cannot cut down on the home runs. And it's not just a this year Aaron Nola problem, though, because you could always do the like phantom injured list stint or have something like that where you're like, hey, does everything feel all right? Oh, your shoulder's a little sore. Okay. We'll put you on the injured list for a couple weeks. You go down to the minors. You work on some stuff. You come back up. We'll see if it helps you. You could do that. And maybe that gets him to a better spot for the rest of the season. But there are multiple problems with this. The Phillies do not have organizational depth at the starting pitching spot. They don't. They released Taijuan Walker. He is no longer an option for this team. It'd be kind of funny if they signed him back. But that's not going to happen because, one, you're already paying him another tens of millions of dollars to be out there just on the open market, not playing for your team. Like, that's not a thing. I just think it would be ironic. But you could go out and try and sign somebody, but you're picking someone up off the garbage heap. Your minor league depth, like the best guy you probably have to call up to make a start would be Alan Rangel. And I don't think we're looking for him to pitch for a month in the starting rotation with the Philadelphia Phillies or longer than that. Like, that would be a short Band-Aid solution for them. And if anyone's like, well, make a big move, go ahead and get a big starting pitcher, maybe jump the trade deadline a little bit. Mid-May is still way too early to make impact trades. It's just not the time of year where the market is settled on that at all. You'd be really hard-pressed to get somebody of value from another major league team at this point in the year. And the other part of it is you have Wheeler, Sanchez, Luzardo, and I guess you could throw Andrew Painter in there. But when it comes to the postseason, the 5th starter spot, sometimes even the 4th starter spot is not hugely important. So how much do you want to commit to making a trade for this season to try and replace Aaron Nola? It's a really tricky spot because the Phillies are kind of stuck where they are. And it's not just for this year. They're stuck where they are for the long term. There are still years and years on Aaron Nola's contract. He has got a no trade clause. He is not movable. Like, no one's going to take that contract. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're not moving Aaron Nola via trade. If you're another organization, why would you want that contract? People, I think, all the time see a player and they're like, get him out of here, trade him, and not realize those bad contracts for you continue for the new team. You don't just get to like wipe the books clean because he's traded from Philly to, I don't know, Anaheim or something. No, they'd have to take on the remainder of that contract, or you'd have to pay out some of it. But with so many years left on the Aaron Nola deal, this doesn't seem like it's getting better. It's almost like every 5th day for this Phillies team for the next couple of years, you're just going to be tossing out not even a coin flip, like a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 chance that you get a usable start from Aaron Nola. And maybe I'm overreacting because it's a bad stretch right now and maybe he'll come out of it. But I have not seen much from him to say, hey, this is a dude that deserves long-term time in the rotation. And yet the contract basically locks him in to long-term time in the rotation. People worry about Bryce Harper wanting more money and signing Trey Turner to this long deal and re-signing Kyle Schwarber, which I think most fans were in favor of, but some people didn't want to quote-unquote run it back, or what they did with Christopher Sanchez, giving him more money when they didn't have to. The Jesus Luzardo deal. There's so many contracts on the Phillies. JT Realmuto, and that one I'll back up more than most others. Like, I didn't love that deal, but really the number one issue right now contractually for the Philadelphia Phillies is Aaron Nola. There is no solution. I did see someone, because I tweeted out last night, like, what do the Phillies do with Aaron Nola if this continues? And someone did say, like, bullpen. Previously, I would have fought you and said he's never thrown out of the pen. I don't think he'll be beneficial there, but you might have to try something. Like, I don't think we're quite there with Aaron Nola, but I think we could be by the end of the month. So keep a look at what's going on with that spot in the rotation until the end of the month of May. He could very much end up somehow on the outside looking in, but it doesn't mean the Phillies aren't going to have to pay him. And that puts them in a really tough spot with that rotation going forward. Can they survive with the quality they have at the top of the rotation? Yes. Can they thrive, make up the ground they need to, catch the Braves to win the NL East, compete with a team like the Dodgers? It's hard to see right now with Aaron Nola as part of the mix. Still a developing situation, but if you think that, like, trade, release, any of that stuff, you release him, you got to pay him the money. He's here, and there's not much you can do about it besides just say, you need to pitch better. And when he doesn't, he's going to get ripped. And he's going to get ripped here as well because he's making a lot of money. And I know it's on the Phillies for giving him that contract, but he's also got to find a way to get the job done. All right. I did just take a trip up to Fenway Park. And coming up next, we're going to take a little break from the specific Phillies talk, right? This is more of just an overarching baseball fan conversation. But if you're watching this episode of Locked On Phillies or on YouTube or listening in podcast form, wherever you get your podcasts, we're available. I'm guessing you're a baseball fan. And if you have not made the trip up to Fenway to watch a game or two, I'm going to tell you about my experience coming up next. That place is special. We'll talk about that as we continue today's episode. Let's talk about Indeed first, though, because Indeed is the absolute best when you need to hire somebody. And I know what you're dealing with at work, right? Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing. That one position you have to fill, it feels secondary, tertiary. It feels like you're never going to get to it. But when the pressure's on and you need the right hire, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. They help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for with the skills, experience, and location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a stat that says it all about Indeed sponsored jobs. In the minute I've been talking to you about them, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Less stress, less time, more results. That is what you need. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Make sure you support our show by saying you heard about them on Locked On Phillies. Again, that's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. What a couple days I got the opportunity to have this week. Going up to Fenway, got a chance to watch the Phils play on Wednesday and Thursday up against the Red Sox. Now, unfortunately, they did not win Wednesday. Thursday was the great late inning drama of a Kyle Schwarber home run and then finding a way to shut it down with the pen. Duran striking out 3 guys to end that game and another series win for the Phillies. It was cold. It was rainy. Frankly, the weather wasn't great. It felt like October baseball just from the weather. So it wasn't even like I got this beautiful sun-soaked day up in Boston where I'm just lost with the beauty of the city. No, and even with that, that is a near religious experience to get a chance to go watch your team play at Fenway. Now, I would recommend going up and watching the Phillies play if you can, because getting a chance to see your team play and everything, it's special when you're on the road. I'm not a huge go to random baseball games guy, probably because I'm so locked in on the Phillies for Locked On Phillies, but that certainly added to it. It starts before you even get in the ballpark. Going outside on Lansdowne Street and seeing the strip of bars all packed and everything. There's this place called Bleacher Bar where you can actually look out of the Green Monster and see the field and watch during BP, and you can even watch the game from there if you didn't get tickets. It's a really cool experience. Like, you're in a neighborhood, there's a bunch of bars and a bunch of nightlife and a bunch of stuff going on around the game. For all of the, and I love the South Philly Sports Complex. Like, for all of the upside of that, we don't really have that, hey, there's this bar, that bar, this bar, that bar, right? There's a minimal experience around the sports complex in Philadelphia, probably because most of it's parking lots, and tailgating's fun, but that's a really cool thing. Now, the good news for Philadelphia sports fans who have been to Fenway or hear me talking about that and say, I wish we had that here in Philadelphia, as the sports complex gets reshaped with the Sixers' new arena and everything that they're doing to build up that area over the next 5 years or so, hopefully we will get to a point where we have more of that in the city. Because for everyone who loves tailgating, it's fun. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of going out there and cracking a couple before a Phil's game and going in and just having some time playing like cornhole or whatever. It's great. But this is an experience that is, it feels a little bit bigger when it comes to getting ready for the game. It feels more communal. It feels more like special up there. No shot at how we do things here in Philly, but I like that setup a lot. And I think you will too when it eventually comes to Philadelphia. And then the ballpark, man. Like, if you have not been to Fenway, it is, you walk in and it's old, like old. And I mean that in the best possible way. You hear all the time people saying like, oh, I went to this stadium. It feels like you're walking into a museum. You hear that about Wrigley. I'm sure you've heard that about Fenway before, but it could not be more true. I feel like I'm about to walk out and watch like Ted Williams play. Like, I feel like I'm about to watch Babe Ruth play. I feel like I'm about to watch some of these old legends of the game take the field at a park that they played at. Like, it's insane. The architecture is so different than what you see for the modern ballparks. One thing that really tripped me up, like, you go to the bank and it's like, okay, I'm in section 314 or I'm in section 421 or 112. Like, they have double digit sections. It's like section 70 or something because it's just so old. I guess it kind of honestly makes more sense, but you down to the numbers they use to tell you where your seat is. It just feels like you've stepped back into the past. The other thing that's really cool with Fenway is it's a small stadium. You don't pick it up on the TV broadcast as much, but like when you see it in person, it's not a big park. There's not, and because of that, you feel like you're almost on top of the players at some point. Like the bullpen, you are at head level with guys who are warming up. Yes, in Philly, you can hang over the wall and you can see guys throw, but you're like very raised. Like legitimately, you could stand there and have a conversation with Andrew Painter as he's getting loose. Not that he's going to talk to you because everyone that I saw warming up during my time there was zoned in, but it is a really special experience because of how cozy it feels. And it's not just that it's like cozy, it's also cozy and historic. And just looking at what you're in the presence of too at Fenway Park is something that honestly, if you're like a baseball geek like I am, or just maybe you've been around for a while, or maybe you just have like these special moments that you think about sometimes, like how cool would it be to be a part of like the history of baseball? I'm not going to tell you that every day at Fenway you're going to see something historic, but like we were sitting down the right field line and I had to walk over before the game started, and I had to ask a couple people if they could scoot out of the way real quick, so I could just reach over and like touch the pesky pole. And I never knew this until I was there. There's like signatures all up and down the foul pole to where people can reach because they just want to be a part of history. Now, I didn't sign it, but touching the pesky pole, the most famous foul pole in baseball, it's just like, oh, wow, all of those special moments that you've seen over the years, whether it's the Sox or like another team or just great players going through there. Like, it is the oldest stadium in the sport. There's nothing else like it that I've ever been to. Now, I have not been to Wrigley. I hope to get out there one day, and I imagine the experience is similar in a lot of ways. But Chicago, a little bit further away for folks here in Philadelphia or the greater Philadelphia area than Boston. It's not a tough trip to make. And it's one that I think is absolutely worth it, especially if you get a chance to see the Phils play. But even if you don't, like that is one of the the meccas of baseball. It is a near religious experience going to Fenway. I can't recommend it enough. And I'll tell you, I hate Boston, right? I hate their sports teams. And not so much the Red Sox because that rivalry doesn't exist, but as a Philadelphia fan, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, there's a long history of us not liking each other. I went up there not wanting to like it as much as I did, but it is a fun city, a great ballpark. I still hate those teams, but I got to recommend it if you get the chance to go up there and experience what I got to this week. You absolutely take it as a baseball fan. It's something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And hopefully, hey, the Phillies will give us some more special moments that we can remember for the rest of at least the next couple of years this season. So just wanted to take the time to promote Fenway Park. Not that anyone needs to. That place, it's been around for over 100 years now, 110 years now. But that is something that was really special that you should check out. And the Phillies run right now that they're on is special. We'll see if they can continue it today in Game 2 against the Pirates. We'll be reacting to that in our next episode. Win another series, 2 best arms on the mound in the next 2 games. This team just keeps rolling right along, keeps making up ground. We'll see where it leaves them when they hit a tougher stretch coming up. And we'll talk about all of that this coming week on our next episode of Locked On Phillies. But thank you so much for joining us. Once again, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, hitting that subscribe button on the YouTube, all that great stuff that helps you find us easier and also helps us out too. And I will talk to you next time here on Locked On Phillies.